Happy Comic Book Day and welcome back, all you four-color funny book aficionados. This is US Comics Cast, HQ for all things comic book connected. We are John and Charlie Rivera, the co-founders of US Comics. Charlie, happy Comic Book Day.
Happy Comic Book Day to you and to everyone listening and watching today. As always, we are brought to you by Bad Mary Band and Sergeant Finesse Gaming. If you haven't done so already, please smash that like and or follow button and hit that comment section like it's a Mandarian demon.
Word. Just like my autocorrect wants to say, Charlie. That might actually be a pretty good aversion technique by the good folks over at Apple, because don't you say Kandarian, don't do it, don't say it in Latin, don't write it down covered in blood or wrapped in barbed wire, because these dum-dums out here are going to find it. And sure as shit, if that's not the case, my brother, Evil Dead, the Evil Dead franchise, much like a basement-dwelling Kandarian demon, refuses to die. It will not die.
I think we said demon too many times. We got Demon Koga starting us off right
See
here
what happens?
on the purple site.
All you gotta do is talk about them, and they do appear. They do appear. The Evil Dead franchise just will not quit. And dadgummit, Charlie, if you believe what some of these little Deadites out there, these little Deadite trolls that love to jump on with their cheap opinions, if you believe them in this case, might be the best entry to date. I know it's sacrilege, but Evil Dead Rise has hit the theaters. Charlie and I both drank it in. We are big Evil Dead fans. So Charlie, I'm just going to throw right to you immediately. Groovy or not groovy?
The fucking most groovy. What a
most groovy.
If it was any groovier, I wouldn't be able to handle it. That's how fucking good Evil Dead Rise was. What about you?
We do know you have a delicate sensibility. I'll say this: there are multiple points in this flick where I was like, like I near punched myself in the chin. I drew up my legs as if something was gonna grab my little delicate ankles under the seat. Charlie, I loved it. Now here's the thing: I love a good horror quote unquote movie. I love a good scare movie. I'm in it for the scares. There's really only one topic of fright feature that gets me. We don't have to talk about it right now. I'm not trying to elicit any troll responses, but there's only one subject matter that really gets my goat. There's a little fucking hint for you guys. I love the Evil Dead franchise because the way that it goes about the scares, the way that it goes about the gore, typically speaking, I should say, it made it laughable for me, right? I don't know if I've told this story here. I'll tell a real quick version. So this is in the back in the good old Blockbuster days. The young tween friends were out for a good time. Mixed bag, couple of boys, couple of girls, couple of question marks. So we're out there and we want like what's the best way to get to canoodle the little chickadee that you've been staring across that study hall from? You get a scary movie on. Oh, let me cuddle up close to you. So we go up and granted the teens working at Blockbuster, they're still older than us, right? So this is going to be a reliable source of information for my burgeoning brain. So we go up to this, granted a kid. We say, hey, can you give us a scary movie so we can watch for these little chickens back here? And my dude, he looks us straight in the face. And even back then, Charlie, I assumed the position of power. He looks us straight dead in the face. He's like, what kind of scary? It's like, what? What are you... What? They're paying you to show up at this job? Where's the expertise? What kind of scary? What do you mean what kind of scary? He's like, do you want just regular see the movie with your parents type of scary, like scary, or do you want stupid scary? Now, I have to put a qualifier out there. This is, once again, this has got to be 1990 era, Charlie. So, stupid used to have a much wider breadth of a definition to use. Like, we use something like stupid was like to be excessive. Like, if you're like, oh, I had a stupid delicious sandwich, that means it was like a really, really delicious sandwich. So, we take it to mean like crazy over the top scary. No, Charlie. My man, he was not up to date with the lingo of us kids, so he thought we meant like stupid. Like just like stupid.
Like
no
earnest,
one in their
scared, stupid. Like he was
no,
that literal?
exactly right. Exactly right. No one in their right mind would be afraid of this. So he says, "Here's the Evil Dead 2." So
how will I catch up? I am not familiar at all with this franchise. You're throwing me into the sequel, sir? You don't watch Godfather 2 without Godfather.
Charlie,
you're a fucking terrible fucking video store employee.
I wish, friggin' Clerks, I wish, Charlie, that I had the wherewithal and the gumption in my little preteen body to be like, that don't make no sense. So we're like, great. We're definitely getting to second base, not having any idea what second base was. So we get this flick on, we pop it in, we're like, what? What is this? Now, this was kind of one of those slow burns of enjoyment because the first, honestly, again, the first time you see Homegirl under the hatch to the basement, I'm like, this is stupid. My man was a very literal, like he could have been on the spectrum. Like he was literal when he said it. But Charlie, it probably didn't get past the second gallon of blood before I'm like, nope, this is now one of my favorite movies of all time.
Oh, it turns
so
out,
it began
I
early
just
for
imagine
me.
you shoving that poor girl out of your way.
Oh yeah,
You're
yeah.
like, my man Ash is talking.
You want to get your mush off of me?
There's only one Ashley getting attention tonight, and he works at the fucking S Smart.
What was your entree into the franchise?
So oddly enough, you mentioned Clerks. I fall in love with movies that I wouldn't normally hunt out. Like after I saw Clerks, thank you again. It was very easy to get my grubby little hands on Mallrats and Chasing Amy. That led to The Crow. So this is like 94 now. And then it's just like you go to that same video store, and I'm bigger than the kid fucking 10 years older than me. So I'm like, hey man. So I used to be one of those kids.
He's smoking. He's like, hey kids, shut up back there. I'll tell your mother.
I just look like the giant baby from
like
Roger
10.
Rabbit. Full beard. So I go up to the guy at the counter and I go, I need a movie like Clerks. And he goes, funny like Clerks? And I was like, yeah, like a classy flick like Clerks. And I was handed both Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. And he goes, get through the first one.
That's a power move.
He goes, get through the first one to enjoy the second one, then rewatch the first one. And I was like, check.
My man gave you homework at the Blockbuster. But
at this point, I would go to him and I would be like, scary please, and it's like, here's aliens. Like this guy was my after school teacher basically,
dude. And he was your VHS dealer. Like let's call it what it is. Let's call it what it is, bro.
And what it would be, I basically had two like local friends. I had the friends we affectionately called the Ragamuffin Kids. They did not have a VCR, and then I had my friends with VCRs. So I was constantly ruining hangouts. Evil Dead 2, Evil Dead was a combo that I presented to my friends in just Evil Dead 2, Evil Dead 1 order. And by the time I showed it to them, I had rewatched Ashley chop off that broad's head 30 times. Like, I had already ruined the VHS copy from Blockbuster before my friends got an opportunity to enjoy it.
Ball film, real nice.
And I don't do anything in like small measure. So it's like I go stumbling and wheezing back to that Blockbuster, and I go like, I need more, baby. And he's like, here's Army of Darkness. Be like, I said I wanted a sequel to Evil Dead. He goes, this is a sequel to Evil Dead. A different
Charlie
company.
said, I want a third remake that's also called The Evil Dead. What am I saying that doesn't make sense to you, dude?
And in classic Charlie fashion, my first time through Army of Darkness, I was like, this isn't Evil Dead 2 enough. But since it was a rental, I just immediately ran it back.
Evil Dead Tour. Yeah, so you do raise immediately a very interesting point. So, the Evil Dead franchise is already pretty funny because Evil Dead 2 is not so much as a sequel as it's not even a remake really. They're like, now we can do better. We can do better. So
was it a retry? Is this a new category of film we've realized?
It was a mulligan, Charlie. It was a mulligan of a movie. So Sam Raimi, famous for a million things, but Evil Dead and probably the first Spider-Man's, most notably. And then, of course, he who is above all others in the Chin Games, Bruce Campbell himself, just the man, Bubba Hotep, somebody that I really loves on the terrible Hercules slash what not it wasn't Hercules, it was the other one, right?
Xena.
It was Xena.
Warrior
Thank you
Princess.
very much. Damn straight. Just
you
run
don't
around
forget
looking
about
like
Xena in this fucking podcast, sir.
Yeah, I apologize.
That show made those two lesbians made me a man.
As they should. But yeah, so then it kind of like petered off. Oh, Christian, what is up? From the
shit,
Stash
it's the birthday
Show.
boy.
First of all, to have my birthday brother Christian showing up right here is like a gift to us on his birthday. That is a gifting individual. Happy birthday, Christian. Of course, coming right over from the Secret Stash podcast just shortly, or video cast, whatever we're calling it right now. No, Christian, we are fully representing the Evil Dead franchise. So again, you have Evil Dead 2, Electric Boogaloo. You've got Army of Darkness, which just took it to the He-Man era. I'm like, you're blowing my mind right now. But then also we got a little bit of downtime. We got the Deadites took the season off, and then if correct me if I'm wrong, it's not until 2013 where like a movie called The Evil Dead comes out, and we're sitting here as fans saying, okay, we know how this franchise works. So just because you're calling the movie some shit that you've already heard already, like, is it a remake? Is it a reboot? Is it a sequel? What's going on? And then just recently, we get Evil Dead Rise. And Christian, again, like the brilliant, beautiful man you are, immediately you raised the question that I have. I've got my opinion, but I wanted to throw it to Charlie. Again, we both love this flick. But Charlie, like Christian says, do you think this current film fits into the continuity of the films before it?
Not only does it fit in, it absolutely fits in. In Evil Dead, it is made very clear that there are 3 copies of the Necronomicon. 3. So we have the one that Ash has been playing with, up to and including Ash vs. the Evil Dead. Right. That's right, he's fucking around with that book. It lived under his bed.
That franchise?
He kept it under his bed and ran into a fucking bar pickup. That's called playing with the Book of the Dead, Ashley. Then 2013 has retroactively, it's been confirmed, that's just another book that found its way to another cabinet, and similar shit happened because the Necronomicon has magnetic properties that eventually bring a chainsaw into play. And
they love these cabins.
It's been confirmed that Evil Dead Rise is in fact the 3rd book. Now,
Charlie,
to really get my
real quick,
nerd hat on.
Let me put a comma in that for you though. Can you tell the good people where we actually did see? We saw multiple versions, multiple copies, I should say, of the said Necronomicon residing. Can you tell the good people, or do you want me to take it off your hands?
Are we stealing Ellis's comment? Is that the only one you're talking about?
No. Ellis again. He did make a good point. The Necronomicon is featured in the movie Jason Goes to Heckfire. That indeed. No. Literally, when you see my man going to pick up the copy in Army of Darkness, there are multiple copies
Awesome.
right there in front of us. So they very early established, like, look, this is an evil book. Bad things happen from it when you read from it. Like a greater threat could not be issued if you were tearing the tag off of a mattress. They were like, look, just don't do it. We're not even going to tell you what happens. Just trust us. Don't damn do it.
This is why I don't read. Any book could be the book of the Book of the Dead. Any book you could rebind the Necronomicon.
I don't read menus. I'll read a comic book because I'm mainly looking at the pictures. Charlie plays it safe, man. You gotta respect that. Yeah, man. I absolutely love this movie. 100%. I agree. I think it fits completely within that Evil Dead verse, which I'm trademarking that right now. You guys can use it in about 100 years. I'll be done with that trademark.
Can I just bring something up quick?
Please.
For those that may not know, the way that Ash vs. the Evil Dead ends is he finds himself in the future apocalypse. And some people pointed out that the apocalypse happened in like 2014. First mostly, you have to give the creative formula some room to breathe. So right away, don't come at me with like what year shit takes place, because at the beginning of Evil Dead Rise, I didn't see a timestamp. I didn't see any piece of technology that implies this shit's happening in 2022, first of all. So, and maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, tell me in the comment section. But I didn't see an alarm clock that fucking included the year, so you can fuck right off. Secondly, we know Evil Dead Rise starts at the end. It's one of those flicks. I don't want to spoil it, but the first few minutes are actually some shit that happens. It's basically the post-credit scene, but they put it up front to give me one of the most fucking brutal kills in all of cinema. Like, I'm not going to be okay near a lake now. Thanks, Evil Dead Rise.
I apologize in advance, guys. I cannot hold my tongue. We're gonna talk about some of these kills.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna happen.
We'll throw up the spoiler alert in just a second.
Finish your thought, please.
But this entire, let's hope, Evil Dead was supposed to be an HBO Max movie, and it did so well in early screenings. They were like, fuck it, let's go make a shit ton of money, which they did. And like, I don't care what anyone says, money does count, because then we get more. So now we can get a fucking Evil Dead Rise trilogy, and maybe that shit ends in the apocalypse. Like, if I'm fucking writing it, and I now know I'm going to get a blank check from Warner Discovery, I'm saying the next movie is whatever I wanted, and the third movie ends in the fucking apocalypse. Ash showing up at the end? Come on!
The Deadites will not stay down. So they're like, all right, Deadites, yeah, granted you came up from hell, you snatched up a couple of souls, good on you, but you're going straight to streaming. And they're like, nah, no, we're not. You're going to be dead by dawn, and we're going to be in the fucking cinema. And Charlie, I have to say this. While I do appreciate a good lazy man's antics, like watching a new flick at home, I love the cinema experience, man. It's unlike anything else. And this is one of those movies that collectively, we happen to see this movie separately, but it was still a shared experience with everyone in the theater, at least with me. I'm not sure if you saw a quiet theater or not, but we were like, oh, like things would happen on screen. We would look at each other like, oh, did you see that? I'll put it this way, cheese grater in my kitchen? Not anymore.
Fuck yourself.
Goodbye, cheese grater. Nice knowing you. I never really used you anyway. And this was one of those things that someone kind of described the process of this flick, like watching this flick, where forget about the Evil Dead of it all, because there are certain things that they allude to as like this is an Evil Dead movie, just in case you forgot, like the drone footage that they use in the flick, which very much is reminiscent of the Deadite spirit going through the woods in every iteration before. I'm like, that is brilliant because it is
Awesome.
familiar while at the same time different and new. That's how you do it. It's okay to make an homage. It's okay to play with cliches as long as you have a different flavor that you're
Yeah.
going to apply on all of it. Nobody can say shit to you because we liked it already. No one can accuse you of anything more than giving us something that we've told you we like.
And I think what's amazing about specifically Evil Dead, I had a very specific movie going experience. Lately, I've been going to a theater that, and like I'll fully disclose it, like it's one of the only theaters that have ever like paid me to do an appearance with my Ghostbuster franchise. So
Nice.
Corum Movie Land, which I've worked with before, but this isn't an ad. It's a mom and pop theater, and I've been trying my best to get out to Jersey to go to Kevin Smith's Smodcastle Cinema because that feels like church to me. So I've been trying to like
It is. You're right.
I've been trying to recreate that in like less than a 3 hour drive. So I try to go more to Corum now. Plus the tickets are like $7 all day. So it's just wonderful.
Oh,
So
Mr.
I
and Mrs.
go
Corum are doing what they can.
yeah, well I go there, right? And I'm alone in the theater. So that gives me carte blanche to be as loud. I treated it like having sex. It was like, I'm allowed to
No
be
pants.
as loud as I want. Like, this is. So, from the first kill, which we'll get into in a second, from that first, like, what would normally be, like, oh, fuck, was literally like, ah! I was treating it like the fucking Super Bowl, and the Giants just fucking put a pounding on the Patriots to the point where employees came in.
Yeah, man.
John,
That's
not
only
to
responsible, bro.
not to save me. They came in because they're like, this person is having the best time of his entire life. So they sat down and kind of near me. So we're like high fiving. We're sharing popcorn. It was one of my favorite experiences. And like
I love
Christian
that.
said
I
over on
love that.
Facebook, this is a perfect. The silver screen is built not for every movie. I love indie dramas. I get just as much of them alone in my private home, watching it like real close to the screen, crying at all the parts I need to cry at. The big screen needs to give me something. Superhero films give
It's
me something. They give me spectacle.
the big screen. If I may, Charlie, the big screen is a community experience. That's the difference, right? So like, I can watch a Wes Anderson flick all by my lonesome. I really can. Pull up the little blanket, got my cocoa ready to go, got my dinosaur PJs on. I'm good. I'm good. I can enjoy it thoroughly. Afterwards, maybe I'll text a couple of my more upper echelon, higher caliber thinking friends. Like, oh, did you notice? And that's great. It's a wonderful cinematic experience. A flick like this, the superhero flicks, the horror flicks, these like big ongoing franchises, something that maybe you watched as a kid that now you're seeing kind of full blown on. That needs to be seen on a scale that's bigger than I could be in a Wes Anderson movie. Like
Yeah.
the character John Rivera pretty much belongs in a Wes Anderson flick. I got the style, I hear the soundtrack in my head, the goofy realities, all that stuff tracks. But I'm not Iron Man. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like there are certain
Yeah.
things I know. If a Kandarian demon came my way, I would urinate down my leg and leave a pee pee trail running for the door. That's as far. It's barely a cameo. It's not gonna happen. I'm not picking up a boomstick. I'm not grabbing a chainsaw. I'm ready to go. You flirted with it earlier, Charlie. That when homegirl tomahawks without the
Ooh,
hatchet.
let me hit spoiler warning. We'll go
Woo!
over favorite kills.
Woo!
Favorite kills coming up. There it is. Favorite kills, John. Hit him.
Again, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. As I had mentioned prior, I have already removed said cheese grater from my kitchen. And I like me a hard cheese. Like this was not something that was without sacrifice. Charlie Homegirl, she took a cheese grater to the leg, like Parmesan was printed up and down the side. Charlie, it was one
The
of those
worst
most
was the
like a
setup.
visceral road rash looking jazz. Oh my god.
John, the worst part was the setup. By the time you're introduced to the innocent version of that cheese grater, when it's just a family fucking hanging out, by the way, coolest fucking family of all time. What's mom do? She's an awesome tattoo artist, fine as hell, about 9 feet tall. What's the daughter do? Oh, she's like a fucking activist with a badass haircut and a hilarious t-shirt. The little girl,
Who's your
cutest
mom?
little girl ever.
My mom is a Viking witch princess because I don't know if you recognize her right away. I saw her from a mile away. I'm like, oh, from Vikings. That's entirely how I've come to. I've turned into I've turned into the meme.
Leo meme.
Like, the Leo meme. I'm pointing at the screen, kind of a little bit standing up, like I gotta push out of duty. I that's all I can do nowadays. She was bad in Vikings. She obviously was very bad in this. But yeah, you're right, man.
And the little fucking Justin Bieber, the best Justin Bieber ever. He's like a DJ. He has bad instincts. I like that he's a weird little thief, but like whole family ruled.
Charlie, in general terms, having it be a family unit that is
Fucking
now going
awesome
through
and awful.
that experience and turning a building in effect into the cabin, like every time that I'm like, well, use your phone. No service up there. Scream out the window. Nah, it's a really bad storm out there. They're really high up.
The one
run down the
bum
steps.
outside
Nope,
was
the steps
no
fell
help.
apart. Yeah, that bum. Now you know why he's a bum, because he just refused to be a team player. They
now,
checked
John,
off
real quick,
all
though,
the boxes, man, of an
real
Evil
quick,
Dead movie.
how scared did you get though? The first time you see the cheese grater, it's innocent, but they make it very clear. Hey, we'll be back.
Yeah.
Hey, we're coming for this.
When the camera pans, just like stops for a second, like, make a note of this. Well, that actually, and here's the thing, for anyone who like can appreciate flicks for the flick's sake, this movie did a very good job of paying off. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, fuck
like,
yes.
This movie didn't give us anything. This movie was in effect indigenous Americans hunting. They used every part of the buffalo. So they put out there a little tidbit like, oh, look at this little cheese grater. Keep that in mind. When Homegirl loses the scissors under the couch, and then you're like, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to set my watch to when exactly now that fucking pair of scissors is going to come back up. Granted, it took a little while longer than I expected. But Charlie, this movie paid off. It didn't put anything on our plate that it didn't get around to like serving us. It was great. They did a great job.
John, I'm not going to spoil this one. I'm going to spoil part of it. But like, I don't even know how to pronounce it. A chimera? There is a chimera monster Deadite gets assembled in the film and then is in the film for a while.
Charlie, and here's the thing.
The sound effects, whoever did the sound designs is a bastard.
The sound is tremendous. It matches with the visuals, and they had to have given us 100 people's volume of blood. Like there was more blood in this flick than a movie about blood transfusions that they make second-year medical students watch. Speaking of blood, and you want to talk about homages and stuff like that, my Stephen King elevator drop where the blood just gushes out of the fucking elevator. I'm like, oh, okay, I see what we're doing here now. This is for me, John Rivera. You made this movie specifically, and I'd hate to say it, exclusively for me. Thank you. I appreciate it. When that moment hit, Charlie, when that shining elevator spit out an elephant's geyser of blood, I almost stood up and applauded.
John, what about the fact that for about an hour of the film, there's an evil elevator that's mocking you by being like, I don't work, and the doors are like shaking and half closed, And then, this I will spoil.
That was like the Big Bang elevator.
Yes. Then you do, except like it was surrounded by like goodness and not the monstrosity that was that piece of shit show. Then you have the adorable little girl go like, oh, it's not an evil elevator. The keys were stuck. The keys were stuck in the thing. Now it works.
Silly adults.
Nothing bad could happen. Ooh. And then,
Charlie,
without literally doing it, the elevator goes, mwahaha. Holy fuck.
Did that elevator just wink at me? Charlie, the elevator cables, I can only describe it as the elevator cables watched The Evil Dead 1 and 2 and was like, you know what, that's a pretty good idea. That's a good idea, tree stumps and fucking weeds and stuff like that. Don't worry about Swamp Thing. We got that. Charlie, the way that they handled it was chef's kiss.
John, when was the last time that a sidequel or a remake or, hell, even a new sequel, when was the last time a movie finished and you turned around and you were like, more, please? Like, if they told me they were going to make 10 more, this team, I'd be like, yeah. I can't remember the last time I had that thought. I love so many movies, especially that came out this year. But, like, I didn't leave Super Mario Brothers be like, I can't wait for the next one.
Oh, snappy nappy, it is Joker's stream.
Damn. How is Joker going to dunk on his favorite director?
Joker knows what's up. What's up, Joker? Thanks for joining us, brother. You know what, Charlie? I will agree with that. It also, as well as, it was a very recent flick because one of the prevailing thoughts that I had walking out of John Wick 4 was, I can't wait for Ballerina. I cannot wait for Ballerina.
Good point.
Never mind the fact that I am like literally in lesbians with Anna Darmus. But just like, give me more of this flavor, right? Honestly, it was like discovering pesto. You discover pesto, and like, it doesn't sound like something that I would love to like, but then like you have it, and like, oh, pesto pasta. You're like, yep, absolutely. Oh, pesto cereal, sure, why not? Pesto water, guzzle, guzzle, guzzle. I want every iteration of that flavor.
They call you Johnny Pesto now.
Movie.
Johnny Pesto.
They do. It's because of the look, bro. Charlie and I rocking the matching USComics. Wrong breasticle. Fully named on the back. Charlie will show you the back, I'm sure, at some point. 200% Charlie. I love this movie.
It's a must-see in theater.
Hit us with that final thought. Yeah, please do.
You must see it in theaters. Bring friends. And if you're in a position to do so, if you go to a less expensive theater, buy another ticket on your way out. Like, I left that movie and I was like, that was worth more than $7. I'll take one for the next showing. Forward. And not theater's, it's one of those theaters that's like, well, the next showing's not till 9. I'd be like, I don't care, I'm not staying. But I want you to take my money, print the ticket, and I'm putting it in my pocket. Because that movie was worth, and it might be my new gimmick. I might keep going to this less expensive theater, and like, based on how good the movie is, I'll buy extra tickets. I'm definitely going back. I want to see Evil Dead Rise again.
I've got that same policy for wedding gifts. I don't seal the envelope. So like, you make me wait a little bit longer for my entree. Whoop! I'm gonna pull a hundo right out of there for that. Or if like you hit a banger, a little salsero, you're like, oh, put that 100 right back. That's a very, very good policy, I think. Charlie, I could not possibly agree with you more, which I really know is surprising. You have to see it on the big screen. Charlie saw it at Mr. and Mrs. Coram out there on the island. If you're here in Jersey, you can go ahead and check out Smod Castle. Dynamite place to see movies of any ilk. Obviously,
and to find God if you're me.
The Kevin Smith. I happen to catch the flick right in the middle of Midtown, directly across the street from the Port Authority, the AMC, right there across from Port Authority.
One of the best theaters in
I
New York.
do deserve. It's great. I deserve, I think, extra credit because stepping out of the movie, almost everyone on the street looks like a Deadite. So my anxiety level, like the adrenaline, was still pumping by the time I sat the tush down on the bus. But yeah,
You're
no,
just
I agree with
recreating
Charlie.
the musical on the bus. What the fuck was that?
Yeah, 200%, 200%. But look, again, Charlie was absolutely right, which I know is rare. Absolutely catch this flick. If you have the wherewithal, see it on the big screen. Don't be like me and Charlie. See it with your beloved family and friends, because you don't want to be high-fiving and knee-slapping with strangers, even though that's pretty much okay. If anyone tells you that this movie, Evil Dead Rise, is not a faithful and worthy entry into the franchise, they are one thing, Charlie, and one thing only. Just like that toy boy George Lucas. They are, what are they, Charlie? Tell us one more time.
Just like George Toy Boy Lucas, they're a bunch of liars because Han shot first,
baby.
Clinky.
Salute.
Oh God.
Delicious.
Goddamn. I mean, you know, Evil Dead is just pissed excellence all over the screen, or really like bled excellence all over the screen. And what's better
John
to follow it up with
spit all over the mic.
what's better to follow that up with but something arguably even scarier for my brother, and that's 90s nostalgia. Because it's motherfucking Morphin time! Holy shit and Shinola. John, how dare I be as miserable of a bastard as I am when Billy and fucking, certainly not Jason, but Zach get back together to bring me on the 30th anniversary of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. We're on fucking Netflix. Morphin' up, baby. Because it was, in fact, Morphin' time. I forced John to go through probably one of the most unthinkable things for him. My brother not only was too old for Power Rangers when it came out, he had to give up the TV for me watching Power Rangers. We were in Disney World on vacation. We get back to the hotel after 9 hours of walking around, and we got to watch the special for Power Rangers because they were doing like a big fucking 2-part premiere. But 30 years after that Floridian misadventure, I said, hey, John, fire up Netflix because it's time to jump back and get a sequel.
We believe in honesty in journalism here. Tell them what you actually said to me. Like, before you even dropped the homework, what was your lead into it? Do you remember? I have it. Before... I have it written here.
Yo, you give it. You give it to the people.
You're gonna hate me, but ... Watch the Power Rangers special on Netflix. I couldn't believe what I was reading, Charlie. I couldn't freaking believe it.
Because you were so excited?
I was so excited to rip on you afterwards, but I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna make a presumption that due to your giddy nature, you enjoyed this thing, right?
I don't think enjoyed is the right word. I enjoy. What would it be?
Bust out the thesaurus and give it to us.
I time traveled. I fucking time traveled because Netflix. Wow. If I were to tell you someone took a 30-year-old property, 30 years, and they brought it back, your inclination is going to be like, oh, like to update it? No. Oh, to like reimagine it like that movie?
To make it better? To make it somewhat enjoyable for John?
Are they going to try to make it even watchable by anyone other than the people that watched the first 2 seasons of Power Rangers and then basically kept a vague knowledge of what happened? John, this fucking special, this hour-long special, managed to be about, I'm going to do a slight spoiler, but it's in the trailer. And also, why are you watching this? You either watched this the hour it came out like me, or your brother forced you for your podcast.
Charlie,
this
I have
is
to,
for no one else.
I hate to fact check you, but that movie, that special wasn't an hour. It was clearly 12 hours, bro. That was a 12-hour gag of Charlie on me, his loving, loyal
can I ask
brother.
You, I've never been in a position.
Maybe 13 hours. 13 hours.
I've never been in this position before. But a couple weeks ago, and we'll eventually talk about it on the show. A couple weeks ago, I said I think I figured out the Mandalorian issue. And what I said was the 10-cent version is like the first 2 seasons were for everyone. And then with season 3, they're like, we hope you did homework. And nerds like me had. Like, I went into the test of Mandalorian season 3 very well versed.
Charlie had his number 2 pencil. He had his little blue book for the essays.
I was ready to go. You, however, with Power Rangers Once and Only, now on Netflix, you went into a test where you had, heard about what paper was, and then that shit was like, you know how Zordon got murdered in space? You're like, no!
Charlie, I walked into that test room, that Power Rangers, Once, Always, and Forever, whatever the fucking thing was called. I walked into that classroom on the day of the final like I was a 4-letter starter jock in school that never had to show up for class because, the teacher who I was kind of, flirting with on the side was like, no, you got to start the big game. You don't have to show up to this. I'm like, and then I showed up, and too hot for teacher wasn't in the front of the room. It was like Mr. McGumpus, just sitting there with the jowls and, crust on the corner of his mouth, short tie, over here, belly. I'm like, Mr. McGrumpus, what are you doing here? Where's Mrs. Hot and Delicious, who took care of me all semester long? She ain't here, sucker. Sit down and take out your booklet. I said, oh, no. Charlie, I didn't know what the fuck was going on.
No one could
It took me a second. Charlie, it took me a second. I was like, that's not the guy from the first. I forgot that the original Red Ranger was currently behind bars.
No.
I forgot
He's
all
about
kinds
to
of
be
stuff.
behind bars. Show some respect.
I apologize. The grand jury is still out.
Until the Morphin grid gets him.
But if I may, and this hurts
please.
me. This hurts me like a squiddy kick to the chest. Squiddy? No, what are they called again?
Squiddy?
Are they? I fell right into John Putty. Yeah, that's right.
Oh no! Just imagine Squiddy fucking up the Rangers.
So I'm watching it. 2 things happen for me that really, really hit, almost in the same breath. First of all, and again, spoiler free, because like Charlie said, if you didn't see it the second it dropped, you're like me and refuse to be fucking bamboozled. And you're just not gonna see, even though it's crazy popular. It's trending on Netflix
John,
right now. So
my
there's
people
plenty
take
of
it
Charlies out there.
Because I've watched it 40 times.
Charlie is trending it single-handedly. Dude, when they made a central plot point, Trinity's death. When Mecha, what's her name?
Robo
Rita.
Show
Robo
some respect.
Rita. I apologize.
Mecha Rita. I also looked at you like I'm idiot. It's Robo Rita. This is the privilege of 90s school brats. I'm a brat.
Yikes.
I also color-coded my Morpha for
Millennium Falcon, son of a bitch. So yeah, 200%. I'm like,
no, but you were saying the special's about death.
So and in one hand, it's death and the after effects. They borrowed stuff from Spider-Man, vengeance is not justice, and I'm like, yo, that's getting some kind of deep stuff. And then Billy is the little white guy, the guy when he's and I never misquote intentionally. So I want everybody to know this is a direct, actual quote. So I'm assuming that there is a Power Rangers Always and Forever, Once and Only, script out there that says Billy, ... And the line preceding is, come catch these fists. What? Guys, if you don't know, Billy is the goofiest, nerdiest Power Ranger to ever strap on the spandex, and that's saying a lot. He said, come catch these fists, like he was standing on a corner in Baltimore in the middle of the wire. I was like, what? What did you say, Billy? Are you nuts? Charlie, the level of, like, it's this, but it's that, I gotta give respect where respect's due, man. It was something. It
John,
was something.
Can you name anything as unapologetic as the Power Rangers Once and Only special? Like you said it.
Nah,
You
they don't
just
give
said
a fuck,
it, John.
bro.
A robo version of Rita. Now, fun fact.
She was a monster.
But also, fun fact. The reason it has to be like an evil robot version of Rita is because, like, Rita's good. Because when Sordon sacrificed himself, all the monsters went away. But, like, new monsters show up.
Thanks
John,
for joining us, folks. We'll make sure to see... Oh, no, you don't. Okay, my bad.
John, the weird thing is, because I've kept up with Power Rangers out of sheer nostalgia, no one in my age group, no 30-year-old on the planet watched Turbo. Not fucking one of us. We watched
Turbo
Mighty
Beam.
Morphin. Well, I'll explain. Mighty Morphin was the dinosaurs.
Oh, no,
Then Zeo, stronger than before. We got Crystal Action, dragon and shit. Then, for a little bit, there's the Alien Rangers, because, you know, our Rangers returned to the kids, had to go to Aquitar, right? Then they got grown again, but like a whole new cast. And then, for some reason, they shifted into Turbo, which for your generation, the car Voltron showed up. And all of us were like,
oh,
see you later.
Bendito. I am so sorry.
See you later. Bye. We're all leaving. And then apparently they went to space. Then they stayed in space. John, like Joker's saying.
Was it because you guys were retirement age at that point? Or was it because they had upset your delicate sensibilities?
It was because at a certain point, trying to color code every day to your favorite Ranger became way too expensive for our parents. Because Tommy went from green to white to red, eventually black, whatever. So, the fucked up thing, though, about this era of time is we all have the internet. So some other fucking nerd, in this case Linkara, wound up doing like season reviews for the seasons that none of us fucking cared about. So I know shit that I have no business knowing.
You guys were the kid that graduated from high school that just kept on going back to the school and parking outside with you know, like, all right. Like, you guys, there comes a time. Now, Charlie, respectfully, I'm not even going to put out there how Power Rangers at its core is just a blatant ripoff of the greatest put-em-together robot show that's ever been made. Yeah, I'm talking about Voltron. That's right. I'll still put Voltron up against any one of your 27 goofy Power Ranger teams. Granted. But we're not in a pissing match. I can firmly, sincerely, I sat there watching this hour long. I'll acknowledge it. It was only an hour. To me, it felt longer, but it felt longer. The actual running time was again an hour, a little bit over. And I just had two thoughts duking it out with each other. Like, on this side, a spandex-clad, once upon a time a teenager, and on this side, a now robotic, evil animal, fucking lion, tiger, I don't even know what. And there's like boom, 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 these thoughts. On one hand, I'm like,
a snake.
Charlie, I'm going to whoop your narrow ass so bad for making me sit through this. I could have been doing almost anything else. And on the other hand, the thought of, but Charlie's going to love this fucking thing. Charlie is going to love this.
Understatement.
Um, yeah, man, like it was
John, it
your
did nothing.
endorphins must have just been firing like madmen.
Because I've never. We just talked about Evil Dead Rise, which is brilliant, right?
Yeah.
It's brilliant because it takes what came before it and it lovingly embraces it and then, like, elevates shit and it goes in a wild new
They
direction.
they did
This
more
was,
than tweak. Yeah.
John, this was just a new episode. I got like a 1 hour. They were like, some other shit happened in the last 30 years. Welcome to episode 36 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I was blown. My whole first viewing was this.
Your member berries must have been jerking off in the package. Like it was
All of
so Charlie. It was so Charlie centric. That I, truly I had. It was hard for me to like. Oh, I gotta make note of this. Oh, I gotta make note of that. I said I can just. Then I just figured out. I'm like I'll just ride Charlie's wave of enthusiasm, and I'll make fun here and there. But Charlie, it was exactly, I'll put it this way, it was exactly as I remembered it. Like, as I would walk past the one TV in the house, muttering under my breath, it was exactly how I remember it. Now, for the cinephiles out there, nowadays we have this computer, this the CGI effect where we're taking old actors and making them look younger. And it's better and better every time they do it. Which I think is great. You can do it as an amateur and like submit it, and then the companies will hire you. Like, oh, you did better than us. Here's a job in an office. But back in the day, bro, in the '90s, the big thing used to be, let's take a young actor and make him look old as fuck.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's what this episode was like. We're gonna go ahead and have an episode that takes place 30 years after the normal events of Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin. Power Rangers, and we'll slap some like aged makeup on them, and we'll tell a little different story. Honestly, this could have happened in 1992. It really, absolutely could have.
And it's like that sounds like a statement that could be an insult. Except this goofy fucking franchise, anytime you depart from what it is, it becomes truly another thing. The recent Mighty Morphin Power Ranger movie where it was like, you want teens with attitude, this one's kind of slutty. This one's gay. This one's autistic.
Yeah, now you're talking. Now you're talking my language.
That movie had like things to like about it, but it wasn't Power Rangers. There was this amazing short that was like fucking rated X Power Rangers. We're like, we curse and we fucking kill. That's another, like, that's the only other two directions you can go. Netflix saying, let's just do another episode?
Yes.
Is saying that something that lasts 30 years deserves some iota of, even if it's begrudging, it deserves some iota of reverence. No matter what, good or bad, it lasted 30 years.
Yeah.
John,
I mean,
if we had a Voltron fight against Power Rangers, the problem is it's 30 on 2. Like, at the end of the day, they pumped out 30 years of this bullshit.
Again,
30 years!
You're making two presumptions here, and I hate to pee on the parade, but that's just like saying something, just because something is popular makes it good. That ain't the case, man.
I'm not saying that.
There's plenty of politics going on right now. No, hold on, but no, you're saying if it lasted 30 years, then it must be good. Let's not forget that they took. This is a show that took all of the like quote unquote action scenes until very very recently, including this flick. I'll give them credit, and said we're gonna go ahead and take what you made half a world away, and then we'll just slap some really crappy dialogue. Pretty terrible acting.
Watch your mouth.
And then we're gonna these dumb cereal eaters, dry cereal eaters, might I add. They'll watch something after school, because that's indeed what they did. But Charlie, they know who they are, right? They did not try to dress up. They didn't try to put lipstick on a pig. They didn't try to make it something that it wasn't again, because like you said, they tried that trick unsuccessfully already. So yeah, the nostalgia of viewing, you guys got exactly what you wanted. So also, congratulations, man. That's a great accomplishment.
you have to respect a show that's so true to its roots. At one point, they basically did this. Ready for it? They went,
I'm ready.
"Hey, John, you know football great Lawrence Taylor? He's right over there. Hi, Lawrence Taylor. Oh no, he's been shrunken by a monster. I'll save you, Lawrence Taylor. Don't worry. Clearly a toy. John, they use toys in the background as shrunken rangers. That is some old school Power Ranger awesomeness.
Maybe the only plot point that actually makes sense to me. I'm like, yeah, no, I could definitely see a Power Ranger fan hatching some kind of plot like this. Though I will give you this, and granted, we know that the Green Ranger is no longer with us. That after credits moment for him and Trini was like touching. Like that was legitimately. I figured as much, but it was legitimately touching. And like I said before, man, the fact that they know their audience, they know what their own makeup was, and even like so sitting back, so what was the goofy little robot called?
Alpha 5.
Alpha 5.
This was Alpha 12 though.
Oh man, this kid's making it harder on me. Holy shit. But even who are the comedy foils?
Bulk and Skull.
So we didn't get them. Now, granted, those two idiots, I mean, brilliant actors. They carried over season after season, iteration after iteration. Those were really the guys that didn't want to leave school. While they weren't in the flick, you had like a very, very obvious shout out. They now own a sandwich business, and good for them. It's nice to see a little bit of commerce in the morning. Yeah, they did things in this flick that I'll put it this way. John's final thought. This is very much so not a franchise that I was a fan of, not remotely. But I could sit through an hour, what maybe felt like a little longer. But I can sit through it and, if nothing else, absolutely appreciate what it was that they were giving their fans. This is not a project that was meant to create new fans unless they were children of the original fans that sat down to watch it, which very much is possible, though I dare say not likely. These kids are sophisticated and there's YouTube. But that all being said, the creators of this special, they had a game plan. They gave their fans another heaping helping of what they loved originally, and I gotta respect it. While I didn't love it, it wasn't for me. Tough shit. Yeah. Like, move on, brother. It's not for you in the first place. So we got other shit on Netflix. Damn straight. I appreciate the way that they did it, and it made me happy that this special made Charlie happy.
My final thought is we are on the cusp of a big change to Power Rangers. The rumor mill is that it's probably going in an animation direction for the future, and they're going to kind of restart it. It's going to kind of begin again. There's a lot of rumors that it's going to take kind of the best of what Boom Studios has done with the amazing comic books that are like very much for everyone. It's corny, but like not in a aggressive way like the special was. And has some really genuinely some of the best comics out of the last few years have been arcs in Power Rangers, which is fucking awesome, but like so weird to say.
And the crazy crossovers.
Oh my god, so good. In a fucking world where we might be seeing kind of a big reboot for Power Rangers after 30 years. Every few years, if you want to throw a spandex-clad special my way, so be it. Because the original Pink Ranger, Kimberly, made me a man. I'd be fine with her making me an old man, too. Like, let's run it back.
Oh, let's take our Cialis together.
Exactly. But much like Netflix is able to pay some bills because of this tremendous special that you absolutely should check out, even if it's just for morbid curiosity, let's pay a couple bills of our own. And lucky for you, beautiful bastards, we're not going to sell you some bullshit mobile game because we are not like other pods who sell for any random brand that's willing to pay. No, no. Today we are once again brought to you by one of our favorite bands, Bad Mary. You heard them during the intro. You're going to hear them again at the end of the show. If you're wondering where else you can catch their act, you can follow them over at Bad Mary Band across all social media platforms. You can support them over on patreon.com/badmaryband. You can stay up to date at badmary.com for merch and upcoming performances, including their new shirt and double including their new tour of Japan. But my favorite part is their entire discography is available at all music streaming services.
Damn straight. And if you're watching in Japan, ask the locals how you say in Japanese, where we dropping? Because the answer in Japan or the States or any damn other place is with Sergeant Finesse. You can currently find him gaming still as a partner on Facebook, but he's also spending more and more time over on kick.com. Matter of fact, our good friend Joker Streams doing quite the same thing, spreading his time between Twitch and kick.com as well. But they both have multiple streams, outstanding video game content, supporter games, co-streams, giveaways, contests. Don't be a sucker. Check them out today, because when the Sergeant's on deck, you salute. And I do want to give a very special and heartfelt RIP to the pup of the hour, Duke, the Sarge's boxer, white and black boxer, Duke. Sadly passed away just the other day, so we're going to give a very special rest in peace to Duke. He was a good boy. But Charlie, yeah, so well done paying the bills. I appreciate that.
Yes. Well, let's kick to the comments before we jump over to your topic.
Oh, okay.
We do have a couple special comments. For those of you that don't know, the show is live every single Wednesday over on Facebook, over on Twitch, over on YouTube, and that gives you full possibilities to join us and to win incredible shit. If you're following us over on twitch.tv/USComics HQ, if you follow us, snag a picture as proof and go ahead and post that bad boy on Instagram or Facebook and tag us, and the first two people to do it, or randomly selected out of the first few people to do it, will in fact win a signed Clerks Open All Night mini poster and very limited raw Kevin Smith, Jay and Silent Bob sticker sheet. That'll be yours for absolute free. If you're feeling extra froggy and feel like donating to a great cause, you can actually win a Proton Pack. You can check that out over on my Instagram, where you go to LI Ghostbusters. Totally free to enter once. If you donate some shekels, you get even more entries. But John, over on Facebook, we had our boy Christian, the birthday boy, the best of birthday boys, said, the truth is that Ash can't be played by Bruce forever. He thinks that if an Evil Dead team-up film happened, Ash, going out like the groovy badass he is, would be super fitting. I think Christian brings up a great point. We're in a position where Bruce Campbell has kind of said he's hung up the chainsaw. But if you tell me you do a big crossover event with the new franchise and the classic franchise, maybe you bring them back for one big adventure. Maybe this is how we close out this big epic journey that has been this world that is Evil Dead until another reboot or another reimagining or another chapter. But you let Ash finally go out the hero we all know he is. I'd fucking cry like a baby, but God knows it would be a bloody, wonderful mess. What do you think? Should we finally have a actor get an opportunity to take his character out literally?
Well, here's the thing, and it's very specific when you have certain actors who are connected to the character to the point where that character cannot be played by anyone else ever again. Right? There might be different iterations. I know that you were talking about the Power Rangers maybe moving to an animated format. That's probably the only out at that point. Like maybe Bruce Campbell can be talked into continuing the adventures if it's just the voice that they particularly need.
The sultry tones.
I do think that a crossover event almost has to have the type of stakes that wrap up a franchise. So while it certainly can be done, and a lifetime fan like myself would be, like, we'd be over the moon because it would be two great tastes that taste great together. You would almost need the type of like world-ending event that, granted, Ash and the Evil Dead series really kind of like more than flirted with and alluded to. So that story would have to be encompassed in it. You can't tie franchises together or iterations together unless you've acknowledged both of their existence and in
Yeah.
equal parts. So it can be done absolutely. For Evil Dead, I'm not sure if it needs to be done because automatically we're having a conversation now. You're like, well, is this a spin-off? Is this a reboot? Which is great. That's a
Yeah.
great fucking conversation because it is a best of both worlds for the creators. They could just keep on pumping them out. Honestly, when I first saw Drag Me to Hell, I'm like, this is a spin-off, isn't it? This is definitely some Evil Dead shit going on right
Yeah.
now. Clearly, we know now that it wasn't, but to have that heavy duty question mark hanging in the air, more money, more money. It's great. It's really great.
Fair. Maybe we'll just get a quasi Ash in Cabin of the Woods 2. Lower stakes if it's Cabin in the Woods. Just Ash takes
Quick
Japan.
question. Now that we flash back to it, did you catch Bruce Campbell's cameo?
What? I didn't.
Did you catch Bruce Campbell's cameo? No. And granted, it speaks to what we were just talking about, the whole voice of it all. He is the voice of one of the priests on the album as it's spinning. So the next time that you see it, which I imagine will be very soon, listen for that.
I'm fucking gonna go tonight.
The dulcet tones of Bruce Campbell.
Love it, love it. Let's kick it over to our good friend over on Twitch, Joker Stream. I still have no idea what happened in the movie. He's of course referring to Tenet. John, what the fuck happens in Tenet?
Tenet. Yeah, like the ongoings or the going ons in Tenet are like very very simple. You had a director who, in fact, could do no wrong, and the producers were like, "Here's a blank check, make whatever the fuck you want." He says, "Oh, here's a script. Nah, we don't need a script. Oh, here's the plot. Nah, we don't need the plot." And they just carried over that vibe into shooting. So much so the actor was like, did I get a script? Nah, you don't need a script. Can you tell us what's going on? Nah, you don't need to. Charlie, that movie stunk on ice. That's putting it kindly.
If it turned out horrible. Sincerely, if Homeboy like retires one day, the director, the name eludes me, but he made the Dark Knight trilogy, which I think is wildly overrated. He made that very cool film Inception, which I think is underrated now. Like people are like, "Fuck that film! It's not complex enough." I'm like, plenty complex. Evil,
Inception
amazing.
Is great. And they can't help but they cannot help but allude to it constantly. As in the cinematography, you're like, oh, this is more. Oh no, different movie. Okay, cool.
If he came out one day and was like, I was just fucking around with y'all with Tenet, like I don't know what that movie's about. Like, would you be surprised? Because I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be like, yeah.
Would he say y'all though? Like, would he?
Yeah, he's from the country.
Would he hit me like an influencer who skipped 11th grade? Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of my suspicions would be held true because that was the general vibe I was getting.
Let's wrap up the trifecta with YouTube. Our boy Ellis just throwing dispersions at my boy Kev Smith. I wish Kevin Smith would have had some reverence for He-Man. It sounds like Netflix learned their lesson and gave the old folks their childhood show. Did you watch all of the He-Man Revelations? It was called on Netflix.
I did. Yes,
What'd you think in real time?
Well, so here's the thing, and I am of the generation that like watched He-Man when it was fresh and squeaky new. Watching, see, to me there is a big difference between, and it's an interesting point because the correlation absolutely is there. Charlie just got toys that he never fucking played with as a kid. He's like, yeah, why not?
It was $6 on Amazon.
So Power Rangers don't make no sense. Doesn't make any sense. It's not that it's poorly written. It's just that it's nonsense. It's shenanigans. It's shenanigans. Looking back, now I'll ask you this question, Charlie. Watching Power Rangers when you were a kid, Were you sitting there thinking this is shenanigans, but I love it? Or was your
No, I'm pretty
goofy
sure it
little
was
child
like,
brain like, this is science? Like
yeah,
this is if it's not history, it's future at least. You did okay.
yeah.
So let me
I was
say
all
that
in.
watching He-Man as a kid, and I'm not trying to claim any kind of like higher level of kiddom than anybody else, but as a kid watching He-Man, I was like, He-Man, this is fucking dumb. He-Man, I loved it. I loved it,
You're in the
but even
Wonderoos. You're
then,
like, this sucks.
totally, I'm like goofy, stupid. Sure, I'll take that toy also.
This isn't
So
educational
he
like G.I. Joe.
he see again, He-Man was kind of somewhat unique in that its mythos, its canon, its Bible for any of the storytellers out there was constantly in flux anyway. So you got the toy. The toy came out before the cartoon even started. The toy came out with a little mini comic book though. And the little mini comic book told He-Man stories that were more akin to Conan and the Savage Land than anything that you saw from Funimation. I think Funimation,
Yep.
whatever. So then I'm like, okay, cool. That's who this is. He's a barbarian king warrior. Then the cartoon came out. I'm like, well, it's on after school. It's on every weekday. Of course, and it's a cartoon. Naturally, I'm gonna watch it. I've got the toys. Of course, Charlie. When I played my He-Man toys, I didn't play out any fucking goofy Prince Adam, cringer stories that I saw in the cartoon. I made up my own badass barbarian warrior stories with He-Man. Yeah, I put a couple of capes on him. Sure, I'm only human. Um, so the canon of He-Man stinks. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. So Kev, and I'm not being a homer here. Um, I love I love Kevin. I love the way that he handles almost all of his business. So the fact that he said, you know what, we're gonna take this IP and shift it a bit and tell the story this ways, I had absolutely no problem with it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So while I can understand where you're coming from, Ellis, that they were similar, I wouldn't say that they were the same. It was not the same process.
Yeah, I'm somewhere in between you because I think there was a goal intended with Oh my god, god damn it!
Oh, while
Read that out.
having me disagree with him, Ellis also clearly posts the comment of the show.
Read that out for the audio people.
Ellis says, I played He-Man by having Gwildor create a magic synthesizer. He is naturally referring to the much maligned, and rightfully so, He-Man movie, which said, okay, we're going to take an insanely popular fucking IP. In the time that we're going to make the flick, we're going to cast Drago from Rocky. It's going to be just great. But you know, everything else? Nah. Don't. And here I'm like, oh, but you have comic books. Nah. But there's a very, very popular cartoon. I said we're good. We'll cast Monica Geller. You'll take it and like it. Yeah, it was terrible. They gave us this goofy Gwildor just making shit out of Sam Ash fucking musical instruments. It was terrible. So Ellis, you're clearly with me, debunking your own comment. Yeah, He-Man is a property in flux. It's fine. They can do whatever they want.
I really like his approach. Again, I didn't have a dog in the fight the way John did. I've probably seen the movie He-Man significantly more than I've seen hours of the cartoon. But I thought the toys were badass. They many a time had to face up against the Power Rangers. And you want to talk about a kid twisting a property, I'd have my Rangers consistently kill. They were like Batman. They were just fucking shit up. Frank Langella is like, a liar, though.
The Power Rangers, if they have enough time to prepare, they could... No, they can't. Stop lying.
No, I just go with the logic of, like, if you don't have a robot or a giant version of yourself, they will fuck you up. They're gonna punt you into space because they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. John! We've answered the people's questions, and we're so grateful for those of you that join us live week after week. Again, just another reminder, if you're following us on Twitch, it is totally free to follow us on Twitch. You snag some proof, a screenshot on your phone will suffice. You go ahead, tweet that out, Instagram it, tag us, USComics HQ, and you can get a Kev Smith autograph and
Delicious.
sticker sheet. Who doesn't want free shit? I know I love free shit.
I thought you were gonna
So I'm
say
giving it
like
away.
something far more graphic, like sticker sheet up your ass if you don't like it. I'm like, oh no, Charlie, what are you doing, man?
I
These
love
are our
how
people.
your presumption about me is that I'm like constantly like, fuck yourself, when in reality
Right.
that mostly exists in your head.
Yeah.
I like it. I wish I was more
If
like the
anything,
version that lived in your head.
I would say my percentages are a little low, but that's all right because Charlie, at this point, whether it's real or imagined, you still have a better working reputation than Ezra fucking Miller. Holy sheep shit. Now, Charlie, I'm gonna ask you this question before I launch this diatribe. We all know the Charlie policy on watching trailers. While he's an enigma wrapped in a riddle, because while on one hand he appreciates the hell out of a good trailer, he knows when the trailer is done right, when it's done wrong, when it really tickles the undercarriage and gives him a bit of a how's your father. He loves that shit, but he ain't gonna watch them. He wants to be invited to the party, but not go. So I'm fully confident in saying that Charlie has not seen near any of the many Flash trailers. But Charlie, I will ask you this: what's your policy on movie news? Like, do you keep your ear to the rail over like, oh, this production is in trouble, oh, this director has been replaced,
I
oh, this
love a little
star
gossip.
of the franchise has been arrested multiple fucking times? Like, do you keep abreast
Yeah.
of the news?
That's my favorite. There's two bits of, because again I'm well, it's been well documented. I'm a total hypocrite. So I listen to like gossipy news, and I follow a lot of actresses on Instagram.
Charlie said,
So like
no me diga.
I know more about Supergirl's actor than anything about the film at this point. And if I'm basing it on her Instagram, it's gonna be dynamite.
Oh boy. Do you know that she has a truly terrible costume? Just trash.
It depends where you look, because I've seen the costume, and the
It's
back
terrible.
of the costume is aces.
I hate to see you go, but I love to watch you leave. Charlie, it is
I'll watch
2023.
her
That
fly
is no
anywhere.
longer acceptable even. Look, let me say this, Charlie. Even a fucking digital content hermit like Charlie Rivera could not have missed all of the crazy. No, I realize that can be looked at as an offensive term, so if you take offense to it, I apologize. I'm gonna call it bonkers, just for fun, right? Mental, whatever you wanna say. It is far from typical, to say the very least. This is a movie, The Flash. I'm referring to, obviously, the Flash movie, which is right now serving as a bridge, if you will, between the Snyderverse and now the Gunnaverse of the DC characters. It's at best and at least a bridge, because it is, while it's acknowledging and utilizing multiple parts of the Snyderverse legacy, they're very much, as well as starting something new. They're using legacy characters that didn't belong to Snyder and his ilk, creating some brand new ones from scratch, repeating a couple. We got like multiple versions of characters in this flick. There's all kinds of crazy stuff happening in this movie, and I'm all for it. Since day one, I'm like, yep, absolutely. And I do want to go on record as saying that I think Ezra Miller is a fine. I think that they, just to be proper, I think that they are a fine actor, performer. Also, to be clear, I refer to both males and females as actor, because what's a female president called? Not a presidentress. It's the damn president. That's a
Not my country.
Take a look under the hood.
They took our germs.
But regardless, a fine performer. Charlie, the fucking shitstorm that has been swirling around this flick, The Flash is finally, knock on wood, we're getting the Flash finally, June 16th. It has been years in the making, and for a cat that can run faster than fucking, they can break space time and all kinds of shit. That's a long time, Charlie. That is a long time in development. Hizel. So again, it's Gunn and Safran playing with the entire DC extended universe on this one, now carrying us over into something new. I know you had mentioned that
Was
Blue
Gunn
Beetle
involved in this film?
is
I thought he just liked it.
No, well, we'll get to that.
Oh shit! Ooh,
The way
more
that this is
gossip.
being handled, very much has Gunn's mitts all over it. But Charlie, coming off of these, to be kind, disappointing outings that we've had. Shazam was kind of a wet fart. Fucking Black Adam was like a check your drawers type of fart. Again, we're finally getting this movie, but for a very long time, it was in question. Now, one might say, if one was a naysayer, they say, well, they gotta spit it out now. Like at this point, they have to. You've got to get to the new, and we've had such disappointing fare. Do we really want to go out like that's like closing your stadium on a loss, right? You don't want to do that unless you're the Mets. So, if I'm not mistaken, about 2004 is maybe when they hired David Goyer to write and direct a Flash movie. So Batman Begins was kind of like, oh well, this is the direction that we're going to go. Charlie, this is 2023, and here we are. We're still talking about it, right? Like, the shared universe is like 2014-ish, and like this has just been going on and on and on. Ezra Miller, an up-and-coming young performer. Okay, yeah, great. This is going to be the flick, and as you had alluded to, people are loving it, man. Like there was just
not only loving it, apparently
like
loving them.
Showing.
They're like, Ezra, woo! Like that's incredible. That someone could like have been in the last news cycle was Ezra Miller's. Ezra Miller is 2023's Shia LaBeouf. Like they couldn't get in more negative attention from the media, and all it took was like, but he's hanging out with Batman. Be like, fuck yeah, free Ezra. Be like, no one's arrested him. That's part of the problem.
So they have Ezra Miller playing multiple versions of the Flash, so they would have had to fire him twice, I guess.
Three apparently.
They look, somebody's not watching trailers, huh? So but yeah, so we're getting Michael Keaton's Batman. We're getting we're getting again Snyder's fucking Batman. We got Ben Affleck's Batman. We have we've got a director. We've got General Zod again. He's like, let's try it one more time.
Didn't see that shit coming.
And Charlie, what's really funny too is like, how exactly is this flick supposedly so great? Like the term greatest superhero movie ever has been brandassed around town. Charlie, Tom Cruise came down off of the mountaintop with Xenu and the fucking, the energy aliens and said, I want to see that flick. And if Tom loves it, I have a good feeling that John is going to love it too, because Tom can do no wrong. But, Charlie, it's honestly, to me, it's some form of a superhero flick miracle. If this movie was just okay, I'd be like, God, they fucking dodged the bullet at super speed. They used the speed force to be like, ho-ho!
I'm applauding if it's fine.
I mean, I'm saying, like, you got away with one, folks. But apparently, this is gonna be unbelievably good.
It's getting to the point, though. It's getting to the point where I'm getting like real sus. Like this is one of those situations where like everyone tells you vanilla Coke is just the most delicious Coke. Then you have, and I'm like, this is horseshit syrup on top of this other horseshit syrup. You go fuck yourself.
This is cream soda. I've heard of cream soda.
Yeah.
Who were you talking to? Charlie,
Are you
just
next
the
gonna
fact
hand
that
me a cola flavored Fanta? You fucks, get out of here.
the fact that they stuck with this casting is shocking to me for a few reasons. First and first, mostly because Homeboy from the Flash show, people are literally in tears
Yeah,
over that
Grant
show
Gustin.
ending. I was in tears over it having ever existed because I think that entire WB nonsense was just a hot trash fire. Um, but now you have a performance given that people were like iffy about. I'm talking about like the earlier Snyderverse
Oh yeah,
entries
yeah.
that had the Flash. They're like, all right,
It has
I kind of don't really
an
like him,
autistic
right?
vibe almost.
He wasn't, and even like a little creepish, like just slipping hot dogs
Little
into
bit of a
people's
creep.
pockets and
Yep.
watching cameras. I'm like, yo, Flash, what's going on, man? But on top of all that, on top of the character missteps, because the Flash is likable, almost every iteration of Flash is likable in the comics. My man could not stay out of trouble. He was getting in trouble. They were getting in trouble over and
breaking
over.
and entering,
Bad
kidnapping
trouble.
a lady.
Bad trouble. Like
allegedly, I don't know
having
what the legality is.
the stories
down.
we were hearing. Hawaii is now off limits. Just keeping kids in houses with guns.
He lost
and,
the whole state. Fuck.
I try. It's honestly, it's nothing less than a movie miracle to me. But yeah, so like that name would pop up. Were you expecting anything less? Like, oh no, finally pulled the trigger and is now in custody. Like it was that type of news that just came out one thing after the other after the other.
The most surprising thing, the reason I never expected them in jail was I imagined the easy thing to do for Warner Discovery would be to change the name. You could get away with calling this Flashpoint very easily.
I gotta
and I don't
with you
think you think they lose people because it's not called the Flash. If you call that shit Flashpoint, you know Flash is in it.
No, because and this is coming, and I understand your point because it comes from a non-trailer perspective. Charlie, you watch these trailers, you're like, oh shit, they're making a new Keaton Batman movie. They have focused so fucking straightforward on Michael Keaton. It's like quip after quip after quip after quip. Where like it becomes like this most recent and the final.
Then call it Batman trailer. Flashpoint. My point is like, don't name it after the person.
Now you're
trouble.
talking about like, well, also Batman's dad. Now we're gonna focus on that. You can't confuse people. And this was my point the other day, of giving the writers, the comic book writers, credit for runs that get adapted, granted loosely. If you made this movie, if it's about exactly how the trailers have played out to be, and you're like, this is Flashpoint, I would stand up and throw shit at the screen. No, it's not. It is not Flashpoint. It is like Flashpoint adjacent at best. There are all kinds of crazy shit happening. It's like bonkers stuff. Compared to Flashpoint, it's like, man, it's like a Tuesday. Like it's not Flashpoint. You'll know what I mean.
It doesn't have to be specifically Flashpoint. Call it Runny Run Fun Time. Like the fact that they didn't like get the Ezra optics, because a lot of people were like, just fucking replace it. Be like, that's too expensive. I don't expect shitty suits to do cool things. But I was surprised that at no point they were like, DC Paradox. Like, name it something to distance yourself. Are they gonna let Ezra Miller do press?
Well, here's the thing though, Charlie. So let's say they change the name of the flick, and you're saying what? So replace Ezra Miller?
No. I don't think the suits would do that. But I'm saying, make the optics be like, Ben Affleck go do press for Flashpoint.
He's one of.
You know?
I understand. As opposed like this is Ezra Miller's movie.
Make it
like,
seem like an ensemble.
Lightning
Lie
bolt.
To us. Yeah.
Right. Well,
lie to us.
It very much is an ensemble movie, but the Flash's journey is really what steps everything up. Now, on top of that, and I agree with you. I agree with you. I would have only take umbrage with it if they called it Flashpoint, because it ain't. but also as well as, this occurred to me only when we were prepping the conversation. The creatives involved have also been juggled like the worst ring of the circus of a cheap circus. Um, the creatives involved, like there have been creatives that have literally stepped away from the movie after, like, in essence writing half of it, and they kept half of it to the point where they were credited. So it was specifically, I'm just referencing this, Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly. um, they had the original script that's utilized for largely this flick, but it was smaller. So clearly they didn't have all these extra moving parts that DC felt, maybe rightly, I don't know, were required to make this movie be a banger. But they wrote and they wrote and they wrote to the point where, even though it's not their script that was shot for the movie, they're still credited for story
Oh wow.
contributions. That's like one of the things where, like, they include as a little writer and they're still getting paid, obviously.
None of the comic book
They
creators, but these two guys that wrote a script before the script.
exactly. They're like, well, we
Cool.
spent about 5 minutes on it. Oh, thank you for the giant check and huge fucking massive credit on the screen. Ultimately, and there's an article that I read with them in something Variety, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, Variety. They were talking about how, like, their specific vision was XYZ. They actually met with Ezra Miller. Like, okay, yeah, we like you. We definitely can see this panning out. And he's like, oh, okay. Then they stepped away from the meeting, like, we're done. We're out. We're fucking out. Because at that meeting, Ezra Miller, and this is something that I did not know, la 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 la, is that Ezra Miller was simultaneously writing their own treatment for the script. Ezra Miller would be like, yeah, that's all well and good, but you know what would be even better though? This. And ultimately, again, DC was like, that's really cute and everything, but no thank you. And it just kind of like, and I can only assume that at that time it was as indicative of the shit show that was going on at Warner Brothers DC at the time. Like, well, yeah, this type of stuff must have happened behind closed doors, Charlie, and but publicly to the people involved all the time. Can you blame any creative from saying, you know what, I'm good, I'm good?
What happens to people who hit the lotto? Let's take away talent. Let's take away the work that was put in. You get to the dance. Kevin Smith calls me up tomorrow. Hey, I want you to play Silent Bob's dad in a flashback for the 4:30 movie. I need you to shave your head and lose 200 pounds. Okay, boss. Done. You're not going to get any fucking treatment slipped into your fucking apartment above your movie theater from Chuck. I'm going to be too busy bringing him coffee. Like, I don't understand where the sense of, like, I can do other stuff too. Maybe. Go do it elsewhere. You're not here for that, sir.
So again,
Entitled.
Goldstein and Daly, they just really kind of like got the lay of the land after that meeting, and it wasn't just Miller, it was Ezra Miller and Grant Morrison, who I love. Grant Morrison, I love Grant Morrison, but this is one
borderline
of those
do no wrong.
situations where, like, you got a duo's fucking partner who's just head and shoulders above you. You're like, oh, we're together. Look how great our team is. Like, half of your team is great. And I said it before. I'll say it again. I've thoroughly enjoyed Ezra Miller's work. Prior, I think that this is not. I think this will be no exception, because all the best voices are just like crowing at the top of their lungs. Granted, I would presume James Gunn would be like, yeah, this is going to be a great flick, absolutely, because now it's home team, right?
Yeah.
That's not what he's saying. He's saying best comic book movie ever.
And he has
you're
one
about
coming
to
out.
You're writing my Superman Legacy movie. Like, don't mess that up. I will come for you, son. And not even your bomb piece wife can save you from my wrath. It is getting just such
she could
great,
save him from mine.
such great. But just like I said, it was shocking to me that so much shenanigans was going on. I can only hope at this point that that they've paved over those fucking potholes in the road to success, and that we're gonna get what we expect. Now I do want to leave you with this, and that'll be our final thought. Being so trailer free and knowing what we're coming from, right? Like, you've heard all the rumblings, like, you know who's coming back and how they're going about it and whatnot. Also, we know where we're going. We got this brand new, the Gods and Monsters era of DC just dawning upon us. Realistically, going into it blind as fucking Ray Charles, realistically, what is it that you're expecting out of this movie?
I don't have crazy high expectations. What I'm hoping for is for a ton of those member berries with my boy Keaton back. I'm hoping we get a nice extended scene with the Batmobile, because I just bought a toy of it and it's like stupid long. It's like 2 feet long. So I want to justify that purchase. Just kidding. I already did because of Batman and Batman Returns. I'm hoping to have a good time. I cannot go into a DC movie right now without having lowered expectations. So I'm hoping I leave with the same smile I left Shazam 2 with. I'm hoping that we get
You were smiling after that?
I loved Shazam 2.
Trash.
I loved Shazam 2. I had such a good time.
Yuck.
Didn't you say you liked it on this show? Am I losing my mind?
No, I'm yucking you.
Were you just talking about Mary Marvel? I'm genuinely just hoping for a solid enough flick that can support the weight of having 2 Batmen, 2 Flashes, a cinematic Supergirl. The nice thing is, like Ellis is saying,
and
with
the
all
partridge
the stuff in the
and
trailer,
a pear tree.
they better have more surprises. I know that Zod's in it. I don't know how. I know that 2 Batmen are in it. I'm not sure how. I know Supergirl's in it. I'm not sure how. I know she has like a bad haircut, according to Ellis. I happen to think she's really hot. I don't despise the costume as much as some. I have protected myself. So I feel like you're going to be like, yawn, because it turns out the Terminator's also in it. And like, by that I mean Deathstroke the Terminator. Robin's going to show up, and you're going to be like, yawn, it's in the trailer. And I'm going to be like, ah! At this point, if Keaton says I'm Batman, I'm going to fucking launch my panties off, because they probably have that in the trailer. Fuck if I know. But hell yeah, bring it. I'm lucky.
You know that I like to respect people's pronouns. I like to respect their stance on trailers. Yeah. Charlie, I'm going to go ahead and give you an affirmative right now. Charlie throwing his panties at the screen is actually in the trailer. I don't know how they did it. It's some kind of like a future technology.
Flash can time travel.
And I do want to say this. The polka dots was like a very, very classy choice in Charlie's panty selection for the day.
I've been pretty sad lately. I needed those yellow polka dot.
I just like how they feel. It's not weird.
Exactly. I will say this though, Ellis. Yes. Ellis, I know you break balls on the show a lot. If there's like a captured wall, if like in Batman's Batcave there's like closed missions and Gene Hackman's up there, I'll allow it. That would fucking rule.
Charlie, this is a huge multi-billion-dollar organization. Don't give a shit away for free. What's the matter with you? But sorry. Yeah, no. My final thought. Look, this has been an incredibly long, rocky. To call it rocky would be kind. Rocky road, delicious, typically speaking, but usually doesn't really fare very well when you're changing scripts, changing directors. Adding characters that people haven't seen for fucking decades. Usually that's a recipe for a disaster, but
yeah.
all points, all fucking signs are pointing in the positive. So at this point, Charlie, I'm actually going to get in your camp and say, like, look, if I'm even pleasantly surprised, if I have a grin on my face instead of a scowl, then I'm gonna say, this is a success, because ultimately a bridge only works to get you where you're going. So this movie is not about where we're going. This movie is just the bridge from the past, meaning it's gonna be in our rear view mirror soon enough. So I'm excited even just for that. But yeah,
I do have one question for you.
Let's
I'm
have
going to throw away my final thought. I got one question. Where we watching?
We had it already, but it's okay.
We got to see this bitch opening night. Am I going to you? We going to see it in Manny Hammy? Or are we going to see it out on the island? We going to go to Jersey? Kevin's watching it with a Q&A after. If you want, I'll go to Smod Castle.
Listen, we can make any of those options happen. I'm just not going to see it holding hands with Mr. and Mrs. Gorham. All due respect to the mom and pops. I want to see it with like a reclining seat, popcorn that was made this week. I do have my fucking
overrated. John, there's only one.
All we know. Yeah, no, go ahead. Wrap it up, brother. Wrap it up.
There's only one way we end each and every multiversal episode of USComics Cast. I'm going to tell them how to do it, but I need you, for the beautiful people who are kind enough to watch, I need you to show them with your body, hands, and possibly mouth. Because first, you got to turn the power on. Then you gotta turn the volume up. Then you gotta tune Bad Marion. Open up the window wide and scream out into the night sky. Say it, Miss Space Girl!